Welcome to session 4. Today we're going to talk about 3 different subsessions that include transportation management systems, warehouse management systems, and e-procurement. Within these subsessions, we will explore the keys to good logistics, in-house options versus outsourcing, and the importance of understanding your industry needs before exploring solutions. The first subsession that we'll cover today is what are transportation management systems. These are essentially your logistics platforms or are part of a grander, more integrated platform. As such, they can be individual systems or incorporated into a full enterprise resource planning system, which we'll cover and be discussing more in session 6. More often than not, a transportation management system sits in between an ERP and the warehouse management system. TMSs utilize technology in various forms to track and optimize all aspects of transportation. Technology can take many forms, but most often can be discussed as hardware, software, and digital networks, either mutually exclusive for one another or a combination of at least 2. Technology can also include the methodology a software or network may be using, including mathematical models, simulation, and various forms of matrices. Any good supply chain focuses on getting raw materials from the point of origin through the production cycle and downstream to the end user as accurate and quickly as possible. TMSs are essential components of this entire system and the key to good logistics. By managing the incoming and outgoing transportation, the TMS can assist other systems or nodes within the supply chain network with key information that informs them of arrival times, departure times, types of freight, incoming or outgoing, which then allows a business to plan better resource allocation to be as close to need without unnecessarily increasing burn rates. Lastly, a full scope view of your transportation successes and failures means you can more effectively plan your S&OP or make changes to improve transportation efficiencies. Before choosing your transportation management system, you should first consider the type of product you will be shipping, any compliance requirements that may restrict the who, what, where, and when an item can be shipped and under what conditions. Rail may be an option when you are shipping large quantities of a product, where distribution or storage centers are maintained along the rail system, or when the economics of shipping large volumes to a designated rail yard makes sense to further your distribution. Many rail shipments include the addition of trucks transportation, where many products must be either transported from their origin point to the designated rail yard, and then transported to another yard in a different geographical location. Many trucking companies have shipping containers that can be easily transitioned between rail and truck. Rail shipping can create huge savings over conventional single truck shipping methods. Road transportation takes the form most commonly of large transport trucks. However, many people fail to realize that even shipping companies delivering mail in small vehicles are also integral parts of the supply chain network. They are the last transport before a package arrives at a customer's home or to the mini warehouse, also known as the mailbox. Roadways are huge networks that connect rural and urban areas, with each road having numerous variables that impact time and transport quality. These variables must and can be recognized by road quality, speed limits, common roadway disruptions, and weather. Air shipping, also known as air cargo or air freight, is often the choice when speed is an important factor. As an example, air shipping between China and Canada reduces shipping times from 20 to 30 days down to 3 or less days by air over vessel. Typically, air shipment is chosen when goods are lighter weight and smaller in individual size, and the economics of shipping by air over vessel becomes much more clear. It is estimated that 90% of everything that is shipped by vessel. Usually international or intercontinental transport will require the use of some sort of sea shipping. Because vessels can be so large and carry incredible amounts of weight safely, it can be the choice for many transportation needs when speed is either not a factor or appropriate planning gives enough lead time to take advantage of the potential cost-saving vessel shipments provide. Keep in mind that every form of transportation comes with its own set of risks, and disruptions are common among all transport options. These could include natural disasters, cyber attacks, geopolitical issues, acts of terrorism, basic weather issues, or, as we have all found out recently, global pandemics. A key part of the good TMS is one that can adapt and change to all kinds of transportation disruptions. If your TMS is effective, it can communicate directly with warehouses and distribution centers to inform of delays and update predicted arrival times. This basic information can create huge efficiency creation across the supply chain when good practices are initiated between nodes in the supply chain network. Now that we know what kind of transportation needs you require, we also have to then consider whether or not you're going to bring these transportation systems in-house or outsource them. And by transportation systems, we're more referring to the actual active transport. So being the freight forwarder, the vessel manager, and those types of situations. Not many companies can even begin to consider their own in-house transportation management. The cost to own transportation equipment creates a large barrier to entry for transportation businesses. However, we can often consider the needs of large, more globalized companies, whereas smaller, more local companies could utilize their own internal fleet to do smaller, more specific deliveries. Owning and managing your own transportation methods will require the integration of fleet management systems and consideration of insurance requirements, among other compliance needs. Outsourcing transportation is one of the most common decisions made with companies, as most transport companies specialize only in improving transportation, which means they spend all of their time focused on making transportation better for themselves and their clients. Supply chain is incredibly complex, and outsourcing a smaller piece of this complex network may be one of the best decisions you make. Although transportation as a single element of supply chain seems trivial, this can make or break business success. Choosing the right company to outsource to will require investigation and competitive comparisons to find the right partner. With all of these considerations and systems, the objective is to keep information flowing. And although supply chains are often considered only in the transference of tangible or physical goods, we must also accept that intangible assets can also be transferred and require their own supply chain network. Information supply chains are both fundamental to improving physical supply chains and equally important for helping the improvement of supply chain in the future. When looking at information flow, you must explore any details or communication exchange that changes or updates in any other place within the supply chain. With TMSs, the physical information flow often include freight information, bills of lading, contractual obligations or limitations, ownership transfers, location of goods, among much more. Much of our physical communication or paper exchange can be automated through automated technology. We learned about process mapping in session 3. Process mapping will be key to understanding all current technology, tasks, and people involved with getting information from one point to the next within the network. Once a full map is achieved, we can use a problem model to brainstorm and explore new ways to automate the transference of information through real-time updates or automated decision-making under predetermined special conditions. Now that we understand the needs of your company from a transportation side, the systems you've chosen, and now we've mapped out some of the information flow, this prepares your company for setting key performance indicators for transportation. Although we'll be commenting on a few, this doesn't stop your company from developing their own, specific to what you define as success. So here's a few. On-time pickup and delivery is a key element to good transportation. This is essentially being at the right place at the right time. Therefore, tracking the percentage of on-time pickups and deliveries is essential to knowing how effective you're being in those. Fluctuating fuel prices and the efficiency of fuel use can make or break the profitability of a transportation business. Typically, this is tracked as liters per 100 kilometer, and it'll assist you in recognizing areas where fuel may be being consumed inappropriately or areas where you can change your transportation network to optimize fuel use. Loading and unloading times are the time spent between a transportation method arriving at its designated place and the total time it takes to be unloaded and loaded before departure. These times show the effectiveness of the person or technology over the transportation method, as well as the warehouse or distribution method. A person or technology is not the sole impact on loading and unloading time, and therefore considerations should be implemented on whether these times are being impacted by the transport company or the facility that is shipping or receiving these goods. Time in transit is tracked by the time of departure from one node within the network to the arrival at the next node. These times can vary depending on transportation method and other potential disruptions to the supply chain network. If you're transporting between two nodes utilizing the same method and shipping similar goods, you will eventually create a historical record and audit history to explain any anomalies outside the average transit time. These records can become the foundation to analyzing other routes to expand or extend your transportation reach. Turnaround rates are directly connected to loading and unloading times, as turnaround is the amount of time it takes from the arrival of a transport method at a facility until it is turned around after unloading or loading. If turnaround rates are high, this means issues exist with loading and unloading. Freight claims of total cost. Freight claims are common as goods can be damaged in transit or delays in transit can cause perishable products to be lost. Transportation companies carry specific liability insurances that can pay out to the owner of the shipped product if events occur that create a loss. Freight claims must be considered as they are part of the cost of doing business. This KPI can be tracked by calculating your total claims and dividing by the total cost of all transport, then multiplying by 100 for your percent. Payment accuracy is important, as any mistakes in payment will require administrative burden, both on the side of the payor and the payee. A high freight payment accuracy would reflect on the ability of the transportation system to communicate effectively with accounting and finance systems. This KPI can be found by dividing accurate bills by the total number of bills submitted and then multiplying by 100.